All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. How's everybody doing out there today? And as promised, today we're going to start talking about Kevin Can Fuck Himself from AMC. I'm not going to censor myself. I'm going to say it exactly how it is, even if I can't spell it on the title of the video. Now, I actually recorded this already. I actually watched this episode, made a video. I just wasn't that happy with the end result. I think I could have talked about it a little bit better. And so we're going to do this over again. So this is Kevin Can Fuck Himself, Season 1, Episode 1, Living the Dream. I want to thank everybody who's been coming to the channel these days and all days. What am I talking about? All days. And getting us to 2,000 subscribers. Make sure to look out for the 2,000 subscriber live stream that's going to be happening on June 30th. That's a Wednesday night around 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there we're going to be doing it. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Don't forget to become a subscriber, hitting the like button, all that crap. And if you're a returning watcher, hi, how you doing? You obviously come back for a reason. So this show, right? I was thinking about this even more, and I'm glad I'm doing this again because it really makes me think about sitcoms. And maybe they're not intentionally taking a shot at them. Maybe they are. I don't know. But it makes me think about how are sitcoms really that funny? Now, of course, they throw in it's inherently yeah, they're filled with jokes. But when I mean funny, I mean the content. They put these people in situations that are supposed to be relatable and, they take a humorous spin on things. But what I like about this show is it takes all those situations that you see in a sitcom and you realize that they're not really that funny. It's all about context, you know? They become relatable and we laugh at the things that we know have happened to us. But the thing is when we think about what happened to us, it's really not funny. These things that they laugh about. The tropes that they have in here. And there are tropes and things that don't really happen that often, like having the boss over for dinner. I've never had a boss over for dinner. I don't ever think I would ever want a boss over to dinner. I have had people come over to the house that make you uncomfortable, that make you act differently. Religious people, you know, people from your church or whatever, that kind of thing is relatable. And so I love how they take that. But because in this, let's say, what the main story is that our main character, Alison, wants to get a new house, move away from her town, her area of where she lives, and start a better life. And she gets the plan to take the money that they have in the bank that they've been saving for and put a down payment on a new house and start this kind of fresh start. And in the in the story we find out that her husband took all that money and it's gone now. And now he's covering it up. Now, you take away all the laughs and everything, that's a pretty serious thing. That is breach of trust. That is a horrible way to treat another person, especially someone you're married to or dating or whoever, somebody that you've trusted with this kind of responsibility to do the right thing, and they betray you. Now, they've done stuff like this over the years in sitcoms where somebody blows the money, right? And it's all done for laughs, and it's ha 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 ha. We'll fix it. We'll put out a charity drive or some other bull crap, or the townsfolk come together like, it's a wonderful life and all the money just gets brought back and it's all solved so clean and just by the end of the next, episode, everything's fine again and we start over next week like it never fucking happened. And life is not a sitcom. And while there's nothing wrong with liking sitcoms, it does make me think about all those things about, the husband who's the dopey, lovable goofball, while there's the put upon wife, and we all just go, oh, ha, 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 and we pat them on the head, and, the characters get patted on the head, basically, like, that's my husband. But in this show, it takes that trope and runs with it. And it's done really, really well. And I mean, I'm trying to actually review this instead of just doing what I sometimes do, spend more time on. And we're probably going to be, like my normal stuff in videos. But I wanted to actually review this because I really loved the way that they pulled this off. I've only watched the first episode. Maybe this thing will get a little old. I don't know. But also the performances are really good. Annie Murphy is really great. I never really watched Schitt's Creek because it's just not for me, even if I do like the actors on the show. But she's really great in this. In the sitcom moments, she's got the light, bubbly, kind of working class look to her. And she's the put upon wife in one of these sitcoms, and she does it brilliantly. In the real, reality of the situation, she's even better because she doesn't have to be TVPG. Life isn't TVPG. Life is TVMA every day, folks. Even with the most vanilla of people, because of who we run into on a daily basis and what can happen to us on a daily basis. Eric Peterson as her husband Kevin is perfect as this typical sitcom-y type husband, the big dope, the big oh yeah, very Kevin James-esque character. And he is from Illinois. He represents Hoffman Estates. I know where that is, and I've been to Hoffman Estates plenty of times, and it is a very Chicago-y actor, even though he's playing a Bostonian here. And he's got oblivious, sitcom husband stuff. We haven't seen him. The one thing that we haven't seen though yet, right? Because in his moments, it's all the sitcom. We haven't seen him in the real life version of the events of this show. Will we see that? I imagine we will. But I think it's important that she makes a distinction in her life, in those moments, that when she's in the room with her husband, it's seen through the lens of a sitcom. And everything from his perspective is just it's not a big deal, honey. Oh, it's all big kind, like misunderstandings and all that stuff. And he's really good at playing that, because I always wondered, like, why the big doughy guys, they always have the big doughy guys in these sitcoms next to this person that they should not be married to. Like if we look at like somebody who's definitely married below their station. And I realized when I started thinking about all the people that I see around me that are married, and I realized it's not really a cliche. I mean, it's a cliche that it happens, but it's so true. I see so many women out there that seem to have married well below their station. Like, I'm not dissing your choices. You love who you love. But I used to make fun of this. And now I realize, holy crap, it happens a lot more often in real life than I realized. There's a few other people in here, like Mary Hollis Inbedin is Patty, the next door neighbor. And Alex Bonifer is Neil, both the neighbors. There's not a big cast so far. This doesn't have a lot of characters in it. Right now, the only other character is a guy. I don't know if he's the brother or the dad or somebody, or if he's just another neighbor. But to get into this proper, right? So Alison has kind of different realities. So when she's with her husband and like his friends, it's always these big, sitcom moments, and all the storylines are very pulled from and handled the way they handle a sitcom. The put upon wife, the well-meaning husband who goofs around, and everything's a big fucking joke. And then there's when she's by herself. And the only other person that comes in through those sitcom moments is the next door neighbor Patty. Sometimes she's in the sitcom moments, sometimes she's in the real moments. I also love the fact that these sitcom moments are actually happening. They're just done with a different context. They're done with the sitcom context. So it's all really happening, just done with the laugh track. And you realize how, oh, when you put a laugh track on and you do it like that, oh, all of a sudden these actually really difficult situations, these really uncomfortable situations, oh, they're funny. But when she's by herself and dealing with what has to be done in their lives, it's, everything's washed out, everything looks gray, everything is more bleak looking and real. Like, you don't see the cockroaches that are running around their house, these giant cockroaches in the sitcom moments. And so we also see that she suffers from migraines that are, you know, happen a few times during the episode. There's even a moment that he kind of glibly says in one of his moments about mental illness running in the family, but said like, "Oh, I should have known, or from mental illness runs in your family." So there is something possibly seriously wrong for her mentally, whether it's anxiety, depression, or other things. And again, these are things that we'll find out as the story goes on. But her life, she's got this dream right now. She, has these pamphlets to find a new house somewhere else other than where they're at. And I think picking Boston is a good choice for this kind of storyline because a lot of times when they Boston, a lot of those stories revolve around how things don't really change there. People just kind of are stuck in their ruts, and that's again, hey, you live in wherever you live, it happens everywhere. It happens here, right? Where people just don't move away, they don't move on, they live their lives, they're satisfied with their things like that. It's fine. I'm a really good choice to pick Boston because it's kind of known for that kind of thing. It's a big city, and it's kind of known for that. Not a lot of big cities are known for that kind of story. Little small towns are. So, and if you want to hit me in the comment section about, oh, but it's fine. Like, however you choose to live your life, I'm just commenting on it. But she thinks that if she can get her husband to agree to move away, that their life will just be better. Get away from the bad influences. Get away from the city life that are, the just however, you're not satisfied with your life. You think if you just move somewhere else, everything will be fine. Your marriage will be better. I think it's funny though that in her dream, she's still just pouring him a beer. She's dressed like Donna Reed. He's sitting there like, oh, like more of a grown-up acting person, but he's still got the glass mug of beer, and everything will be great. Um, so we also, see her go on her life. She works at a liquor store. She wants to look pretty. She's talking. She goes to the makeup shop where those people are condescending, and the rest of this episode revolves around their wedding anniversary, their 10-year wedding anniversary. And she's planning on telling him about her plans to get them out of there. And, while she's going to work and he has this job at a like doing cable, he's auditioning Tom Brady lookalikes for their party. He wants her to get meat and cheeses because they also have the boss coming over. And then she runs into an old friend who, this is the one part of the episode I didn't really like because she's going there to get the meat and cheese tray that her husband wants for this, I guess, last minute invitation of the boss being at their anniversary party. Like, why would you have your boss come over to the anniversary party? Unless there's another reason. Like Kevin, again, just does things however he wants, whenever he wants. But he's always telling her whatever Alison wants, Alison gets. And it feels like just this empty promise machine that this guy is. And that he does love to just control things, but make it look like he's not. Well, she goes to the diner and runs into Sam, who's like an old, probably childhood friend, school friend from a long time ago when they were in high school and probably grew up together. And I feel like he's meant to be kind of the what if I had made a different choice kind of person who inexplicably comes back to town because he feels drawn back to it for some reason. Except, it's like, well, if he's married or in a relationship, which they say he's I don't know if they say if he's married or just with somebody, but they kind of make you feel like he's married to somebody. But that he came back for no reason. He felt some pull, and I guess you're supposed to infer that pull was her. And it's like, well, that's kind of a shitty thing to, come back for, is you're with somebody else and yet you came back for somebody that you used to know. And so when that feels like it's going to be like a relationship for her to kind of, another thing in her life that'll test her horrible marriage. And so I don't know. That's the part that doesn't feel as real unless, but in real life as well, I'm sure that plenty of married people have people in their lives that they think about, what if? What if I chose to leave my husband and go with this person or whatnot? The road less traveled kind of thing. Like, how much would my life be different if I had ended up with this person instead of who I'm with? So she, goes and makes her own cheese plate tray because she gets really uncomfortable there at the diner. Bunch of feelings coming up. And the boss comes over, right? And they have this like awkward exchange. Like the boss is actually in the real life situation and in the sitcom stuff. So you get to see the boss be the husband like getting pulled away to help a neighbor out, but really it's just they're going to party some more. He just wants to get away from his boss and he's going to leave the uncomfortable situation for his wife to handle. And how she's, trying to hide a cockroach from him, and she ends up in the bathtub just drinking alone a bottle of wine while the boss goes into the kitchen and ends up doing, beer kegs or keg stands, but he's not a keg stand. Like, I don't know. I can't remember what they call those things where they drink the beer out of the funnel. And how, this guy turns out to be the life of the party, and he's so happy they got invited to the party, and it leads to Kevin standing on the coffee table that she's proud of. They make a distinction to mention that she's really protective of this coffee table. It's one of the nicer things she owns. Kevin stands on it to make this announcement. She comes up, stands on it next to him, and he's like, I just got what I assume is kind of like a promotion where he moves from just regular cable to fiber optic cable. And it turns out that they can't move. And so the coffee table collapses underneath their weight. And it's kind of like, he's like, well, now we can't move. But what we find out a little bit earlier is when she's coming home from, I think, her job. The neighbor lady who knows that they were planning on moving, her husband agreed, which was one of the interesting things earlier in the story was that I thought he would fight more. In a lot of those shows, the husband or wife that doesn't want to be a part of something really stands tight and firm about not doing something. But in this, he agrees to it. But he agrees to it because he knows it'll never happen. Because why? Because as the neighbor knows and laughs and scoffs at her and does finally tell her that he spent all the money because he made some bad investments on sports trade, like trading fake sports memorabilia. There's only one other person I know of who got in trouble for sports memorabilia, and we all know what his name is. It's the Juice. The Juice is loose. And so all these things adding up, causing her to be flipping the bird and finally saying fuck and punching the mailbox and everything else. And when he says, well, we can't move now, and her knowing that this was all a setup and that there was no, she knows about the not being any money, and it's all a big fucking joke to him, and he's just making moves for her to not know what's really going on. And if I just get a different job, you'll forget about moving. It doesn't matter. They've got the typical neighbors who can't handle them leaving them, and you know, it's like the quicksand of people not wanting you to better yourselves because they're jealous of that. You know, they're stuck in their shit life too, and if people actually change, if actually move on, then how crappy is your life? People don't actually, a lot of people don't actually want people to succeed that much. Not when it means that we're stuck where we are. It's how human beings act a lot of times. So she leaves. And she goes and she, gets a 40 from the liquor store she works at. She kicks over a garbage can and she ends up doing coke with the guys at the garage nearby. And this is where I talk about a couple of lines here that are really good in this episode. And one was from Patty's character who says, pretending things will change is how they sell washing machines. That is such a great way of pointing out commercialism, consumerism, and tying it in with what people want in their lives. That they're selling a dream, they're selling an image, they're selling fiction and fantasy to people. That all you need is this. And oh my God, how much your life changes when you get a brand new fridge or washing machine. When the reality is, it's just a thing. It's just another thing you bought in your life. You might have a better refrigerator, and you might have a better, cleaner clothes, or faster, waiting for the clothes to come out of the dryer or what have you. But it hasn't changed your overall life. It just might have saved you some time or had fresher food or kept your food nicer or whatever. And then there's the line that she talks about, because she talks about how she's a bad driver. And there was mention earlier about how she didn't go to school. And she suddenly kind of has an epiphany while on coke about, how, do I never finish things or does he take them away from me? And am I a bad driver or does he just want the car? All these things that he selfishly just kind of manipulates out of her, and she's been allowing it to happen without really thinking about it, without really knowing it. And she's finally starting to, after 10 years of marriage, just become fed up with it. Maybe she's always known, right? Maybe it's just always, it started out simple as, a compromise, thinking you're compromising when really you're not compromising. You're just giving over all of what you are to another person who never gives back, but makes you think that you do, because all they keep saying is what Alison wants, Alison gets, but really it's just a version of what they want. And so when she comes home, right, he's got a surprise for her. I love how the surprise starts in the reality that is the real life way of looking at things. And when she goes in there and it's the sitcom, we have a grown-up dinner. It's our grown-up anniversary party, and we're not going to have any more ragers, and I'm sorry about that. And it's really just him realizing I'm still covering my fucking tracks, giving you the very bare minimum of something you need, and still having the fucking neighbors over. Because he can't not be just alone and straight with her. He's a horrible husband. A selfish, greedy prick. And even then, it's beer o'clock. So when she kind of snaps here and breaks the glass, it's not just the sitcom, like they notice in the sitcom version where they're all like, and it's not just breaking part of the reality of everything. You know, and they have the dream sequence where she sticks him in the throat with the glass, and that does linger on a little too long to make where I was like, this is a dream. I know this is a dream. This is not happening, or a fantasy in her head, I should say. They did hold on it a little too long, but then I remember this is the first episode. This is not Kevin can go fuck himself, and I'm about to stick him with a glass from the beer mug from my dream. But it's still like him saying, well, hey, the money will just keep growing in the account. You know, don't worry. You know, what Alison wants, Alison gets. Except he doesn't know that she knows that the money's all gone and he's full of shit and he's just trying to keep his life the way he wants it. And to me, the broken mug is really indicative of that her dream is gone. Her dream is shattered. In this moment, him telling her, pretending that the money's still there is just, that's it. This man that I married has no intention of ever being a really true partner to me. And that he can't even own up to his mistakes. Maybe we could, figure out what to do, but he can't be straight with her. So Kevin can go fuck himself. And that's the end of the first episode, and it really makes me intrigued to keep going on this journey because I'm not married. I don't have this kind of perspective. I'm a bachelor. I don't relate. I only relate by what I see around me, and I see what other people's relationships are like. And sometimes people's relationships you kind of almost live vicariously through other people's relationships because they tell you about them nonstop. And so all I can do is comment and give my own 2 cents because believe me, I would never allow this level of shit to happen in my life ever. But who's to say? What happens if I meet the one person that could actually make me want to get married or be in like something like this? And would I make the same concessions? I would hope to God I wouldn't. But when somebody loves somebody and they're with somebody for so long and they don't want to just throw in the towel and they want to give it the old college try, when is enough enough? Well, apparently this is where she's hitting her breaking point here in the first episode. So that's Living the Dream, the first episode of Kevin Can Fuck Himself. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. And for those of you who didn't like anything I had to say and you'd wish you could get the last 28 minutes-ish of your life back, but you somehow watched this far, well, we can give you a better memory. So for those of you who did like what I said, either click off or look away because we're going to give these people a better memory. You just watched your favorite episode of Full House where everybody held each other in their arms and the audience went, ah. Have a great night, everybody. Bye.